You're watching GAB with Elisa Profiles on Metrocast Channel 10, and our guest is Dr. Stephen Godfrey. He's the paleontologist at the Calvert Marine Museum, and we've been talking about some of the things that can be found in history, paleontology in Calvert County, St. Mary's County, in this area, and it's really, really full and very interesting stories.
Yes. So the fossils that we looked at in the previous segment, they were examples of animals that were preyed upon by Megalodon or some other shark, and they did not survive
the attack,
the encounter. That's right, the attack.
How do you know that?
Because there's no evidence in either one of these of any healing. So if an animal survives an attack and there's a bite mark, there's very rapid responsive bone growth that is characteristic of mammals, how they respond. There are some fossils like this whale, small whale or large dolphin vertebra that does show evidence of an encounter, probable encounter with a very large shark like Megalodon. But because of the configuration of the bone, it actually survived whatever initial trauma it experienced.
This would have been a brutal trauma.
So this is a vertebra. This is the bottom part of the vertebra. What's missing here is what we call the neural spine. The bumps that you feel running down your back. So this space right here would have held the spinal cord coming down the backbone.
I can see that.
What's unusual about this bone is that the bottom part here is very disturbed, has been actually compressed. And so this is classic compression fracture. And compression fractures happen in people who are in automobile accidents. If they just have the waist belt across and their body is violently bent forward, it's hyperflexed. Or in elderly women who have osteoporosis. The bottom of the vertebrae can actually shrink, can be compressed together. And so that's what this is, a compression fracture. This is evidence of a major impact of some kind. Now we don't know for sure that it was an impact with the extinct giant white shark Megalodon. We think because of the forces that are involved to actually do this to a vertebra. What's more interesting is that this animal survived the trauma. And we know that because this is all new bone growth. And when we x-rayed this vertebra, we could see new bone growth coming up the sides. So this dolphin, or small whale, was making the best of a bad situation. It was in the process of attempting to heal this wound. But it didn't live long enough to completely, fuse the bones together here and completely cover over the initial trauma.
Are you able to guesstimate, if you will, about how long it lived after the trauma?
Probably 6 months, 2 months. Sorry, 6 weeks to 2 months, somewhere in that time range.
So you think that what happened is the animal was swimming along like this, and the shark or whatever came from the bottom and just with its nose and teeth just completely impacted the bottom.
It would have bitten, but the force of the impact would have really bent the body of the dolphin or whale, kind of wrapping it around the head of the Megalodon. It could have pushed it out of the water. We know that because that's what living great white sharks do. They attack the abdominal cavity, they eviscerate it, the animal dies more quickly. But this animal got away. It's actually not uncommon to see modern dolphins or even like sea lions that have major injuries that they sustained from encounters with sharks, but they survive and they heal and they go on to to live.
Oh, that's a really interesting story, and I just love how you're able to put the pieces together. Okay, let's talk about what's on this side of the table.
Okay, so this object here, do you want to hazard a guess as to what that is? What does it look like? Yes, it is what it looks like.
Okay, here's the very unscientific word for what I think it looks like. It looks like poop.
It is poop. But we actually have a technical term to describe fossilized feces. It's a coprolite.
A coprolite. So
you're
what
holding,
a nice word.
You're holding a coprolite.
Okay, good. That makes me feel much better.
So we think coprolites like this came from crocodiles. They were extinct crocodiles that were living here during the Miocene epoch. Okay, so this is an interesting object because it looks like what it is.
Yes, it does.
Here is another coprolite. Okay. And you will notice that on this surface of the coprolite there are some impressions.
Bite marks.
They are, in fact, bite marks. Yeah, these are tooth impressions.
Okay, so for those of you that are watching, we have to step back a little bit. This is a coprolite, previously known as a crocodile poop.
Or feces, yes.
And it has, are these fossilized bite marks? Well, obviously, because, let me see if you can hear this. Can you hear that? It's literally as hard as a rock because it's fossilized. So something bit this feces when
Yes.
it was soft.
That's correct.
That is incredible.
What's more, because these are impressions, we can actually tell by taking a silicone rubber casting compound,
That's brilliant.
pouring it into the impressions, and once it cures, pulling it out, and there you can see the shape, the profile of the shark teeth. From that shape, we think we know what kind of shark bit the feces. An
Okay.
extinct kind of tiger shark.
Okay.
Now we know from studying modern tiger sharks that they will actually bite things, okay, to assess their palatability. They go along and they kind of explore, do exploratory bitings. Is this
like
something I want to eat?
3-year-olds. No, that doesn't taste
Right.
very good.
This chunk of crocodile feces was halfway in the shark's mouth. It bit it, and obviously it decided not to eat it. Had it swallowed the feces, the tooth impressions would not have survived the passage through the digestive system of the tiger shark.
Okay.
So it spit it out, for good reason. Okay. When you flip the coprolite over, there are more impressions.
Because you know that these are the top teeth mark, right?
Well, we don't know if they're top or bottom.
Okay, okay.
But we know that both sides of the jaw actually bit into the feces.
Okay.
Had the shark just found this floating through the water and bitten it, I would expect that the same impressions would be found on both sides. The depth of penetration would be the same.
Right.
But they're not. They're unequal. So one scenario that we think explains why there's a difference in the depth of penetration is that perhaps the feces were still in the abdominal cavity of the crocodile that the tiger shark bit. And that way the teeth could have unevenly penetrated the skin, okay, the muscle
Right.
layers, teeth pushing into the feces, and for whatever reason, okay, this shark did not completely consume all the crocodile rather, and the feces escaped the notice and drifted away, sank to the bottom, covered by sediment, fossilized, and then found. The probability of that happening is like needle in a haystack. There are only 3 known examples of that anywhere in the fossil record. We have 2 of them here at the Calvert Marine Museum. The other one is in a private collection.
So worldwide there are only 3 known
That's correct.
fossils like that, and
Yes.
we have 2 of them
Yes.
at Calvert.
Yes.
You have a great, that is a really, really neat story.
Yeah.
And that's probably the best part of your job, is interpreting things like this.
Right.
How long did it take you to come up with a hypothesis about why there's only really deep teeth marks on one side?
Well, as soon as this fossil kind of walked into my office, someone, a collector, found it and brought it to me.
Okay.
It was like, wow, you're kidding me.
Thank you.
Coprolite with tooth marks in it, bite marks.
Right.
We can probably tell what it is. I puzzled a while over, explaining the discrepancy in depth of penetration. And this just kind of came to me.
Okay.
So just a wonderful little story that you would never imagine coming from a coprolite.
And that's what you do. You interpret the interactions between different animals. Well, I know from having talked to you before we started filming that there are hundreds of stories that you could tell about some of the fossils and artifacts that you found in this area. And I feel very confident in saying that we'll have you on the program again very soon.
Thank you. That's been my pleasure.
Wonderful. You can see Dr. Godfrey at the Calvert Marine Museum. Come and visit it. We have an area that is just unbelievably rich. Millions of years worth of rich. Before we let you go, let's talk. I just want to ask you a quick question. What is the time frame called that Calvert Cliffs shows the different layers? What is the time frame that those layers cover?
Geologists refer to that period of Earth's history as the Miocene epoch.
Okay.
And the Miocene ranges from about 25 million years ago to about 5 million years ago.
Okay.
But Calvert Cliffs represents a smaller block of time from about 18 to 8 million years ago. That's the age of the sediments that make up the layers that now comprise Calvert Cliffs.
Wonderful. That means we have 10 million years worth of things to talk about.
Yes.
All right. We'll have you on the program again soon.
Thank you.
All right. Dr. Stephen Godfrey at the Calvert Marine Museum. Thanks for joining us for GAB with Elisa Profiles. We hope you enjoyed the program, and we'll see you next time on MetroCast Channel 10.